which you are referring to, how it is impacting the life of Nigerians at that moment?
Well, I would say that having been able to achieve that, we were able to serve about 5 million users.
5 billion.
5 million users, I tell
5
you.
million.
Yes, we're able to serve 5 million users. I think that was around 2022, 2021, late 20, entering 2022. We were able to deploy it and we were able to serve 5 million users. The company was able to get a lot of revenue from that deployment at that point in time because a lot of people started saying, oh, the internet connectivity is better. Bridge the gap of internet connectivity issues in Nigeria. A lot of startups, a lot of small business owners started signing up to that particular network. And then because we already have a new technology in place, even though it was a pilot at that point in time, because even at that point in time, we're like, you don't need to pay. Just use this. And we want to get your feedback. And
Yeah.
that feedback for 3 consecutive months was great. They're like, oh, when it's rain, it doesn't stops. It doesn't break. I don't have
Welcome to another powerful episode of Value Seller Talks with Deepak Bajaj, where we bring you inspirational conversation with professionals who are creating massive value in their fields. Today, we are thrilled to have with us Abiola, a result-driven technical expert specialized in networking. She is known for her sharp technical acumen, leadership in multi-site, multi-vendor environments, which is very complicated, believe me, and her passion for bringing the revolution through automation and next generation connectivity. She started her career from Nigeria, now moving to the Europe, and now she is in USA. And her journey is a roller coaster for many, which includes anxiety, nervousness, excitement, fear of
yeah.
failing, and in last success. And I know she is laughing, but I understand what the situation which she was into. But yeah, that happened when you get a success. So let's dive into her journey and insights. Welcome, Abela.
Oh, thank you, Deepak, for having me. It's actually a pleasure, and you make me laugh because you actually captured the real emotions behind all of this journey. But then again, hi everyone. My name is Abiola Ganiyu, and I think my journey began with early clarity during my undergrad, right? And during my undergrad internships. So back then in Nigeria, I studied computer science with economics. I majored in computer science with economics because and it's like a 5 years course back then in Nigeria, and you are given the opportunity to go for internship about 6 to 10 months. So in my own case, I was able to extend my internship for like 12 months because I just wanted to dive into every aspect of computer science because I know computer science is broad. Everybody knows computer science is broad, right? And I didn't know what to do. So I started with the first 2 months of my internship. I started with SQL. Then from SQL, that's the database part. I was like, this is too stressful. I'm not a patient person. You need to be patient to be able to write SQL, to be able to understand our database and all that. So the second 2 months, I told my instructor that because it's like a different organization. So I kept moving from one organization to another organization. And my parents were quite supportive at that point because they're like, Abiola, which organization do you want to do your internship? You need to pick one and let's move past it. But I knew that I knew my kind of person. I know my kind of person that I'm not a patient person. And all this kind of work like SQL, database, programming, Java, because I learned all of those things, I realized that I don't have patience to debug. And a
Mm.
lot of these fields, in this field, you need to be patient to be able to debug issues. So one thing came to my mind, I'm like, instead of me spending hours debugging, I could have been connecting one thing or the other to make something work because I'm quite hands-on. Even as a lady, I'm very hands-on. Then the last 6 months of my internship, I got a placement in Nigerian airspace management. So that way, I got exposed to real world networking environments. It
mm,
was really reward. They gave the interns the autonomy to work on projects. You shadow technical experts in the aerospace industry and all that. So that gave me that experience, ignited my passion and gave me that confidence to explore. I mean, to pursue networking seriously, because connecting things, crimping cables. I started with crimping cables, connecting cables, rolling out cables, gradually from rolling out cables to rolling out fibers to rolling out high tech technology.
mm,
So it's really an eye opening for me. Like, getting that clarity at early stage was just it for me. Like, being able to dive into each of those field at that point, at that moment in my life, gave me like, okay, networking is what I want to do. And since I'm a very hands-on person, and networking is something that it's either you get it or you don't get it.
mm,
You either you get it or you don't get it. So, and you just have to get it. So that's basically my journey. And choosing this field also became, and I chose this field eventually, or I decided to like remain in this field, as I saw how critical connectivity is to development. No matter what you do, the no matter the industry you find yourself, you need someone to bring that connectivity together, and that is where the network engineering folks comes into play. That is what network engineering is all about: connecting the unconnected, connecting the people that do not have access to internet. And in this, especially in the underconnected regions like parts in Africa, like Nigeria, West Africa, there are so other parts in Africa that they don't even have access to internet. And before they can even get access to internet, they need someone to bring the back, the layer one, layer two. They need someone layer three to bring all of those things together before they can start accessing all these resources that is out there. So that's pretty much a summary of my journey, how I got started, my early clarity, and how I feel like networking is not
mm,
just like a passion for me. It's not just an innovation for me. I also see it, as I grow older, I now see it as a tool for empowerment and equity, because we don't really have a much female in the networking
mm,
engineering environment. And having your voice heard, having been in that male dominated environment, gives me that it makes me feel empowered, and it gives me that the tool of equity. Yeah.
mm. Oh, when you're saying the creeping cables and that sort of racks and the servers, that is also, I'm able to visualize it very beautifully in my mind because we all started our career from there as well.
Yes, yes, yes.
But I just want to know, like the few years back when you started at the time, the resources were not up to the mark, right? Even the education, the real education, because you mentioned it's coming from the Nigeria. I'm not sure how much the resources you were there, how many exposure you have for the technology at that time. So how you get those things sorted out to become a network expert.
I think it took like, there's this adage we say in my back in Nigeria, like, it takes a community to build someone, right?
Mm,
So I would say I was lucky, and
mm,
lucky plus opportunity and then being hardworking just came together to help me out. So in my own case, I'm quite inquisitive. I'm quite like, I knew that I wanted to do something, and I have people that support me: my mom, my sisters, my aunts. And getting each of those internships, I was able to land like a mentor in
mm,
every part of my internship. So those people are actually the critical factor. Like, they are the critical push motivator for me, like
mm,
mentoring me. Even the SQL, when they said that, oh, this is not for you, I was able to be vulnerable, that I don't understand this. I don't think this is what it is. It's taking me too much time to debug what this issue is. And I don't feel like this is my thing. And they were
mm,
like, it is okay. It is okay not to feel that it is your thing. And that's why you need to keep exploring. So from any stage, I was able to cultivate that mentorship or spirit, having that mentors all around me. And gradually, when I got to my last internship, where I was able to intern in Nigerian airspace management back then, you know, it's the ATC, we call it air traffic controller unit. And I
mm,
had a lot of people that they were exposed, right? outside, they've gone outside the country to learn all of these things and come back to Nigeria to deploy that. At that time, technology was not that high tech, but the
Mm.
little that was around, I was able to learn from it. Like that back then was Cisco, Linksys, Access Point, and all that, being in server room or trying to assemble servers, trying to or configure server, bare metal servers. So those are the people that actually gave me that motivation. They mentored me. And when I went back to school to finish my final year, they were always like, oh, what project do you want to do? Let's talk about it. Every break I have, I go back to my internship company. And I have this, I built this relationship with them and they kept mentoring me. They kept telling me, oh, you need to do this certification before you finish university. I think my first certification then was CompTIA A.
Mm.
And I had to do CompTIA A plus. Oh, you need to do CompTIA A plus, you need to do CompTIA N plus. They were pushing me as things were, they were motivating me. They didn't want me to be in my comfort zone because they saw that passion in me. I didn't even realize I had that passion. So having that certification at that early stage, it was easier for me to start applying for jobs when
Mm.
I graduated. And a lot of employers were like, how did you get this? How did you already have this experience? Even though it was just fundamental, it was just the basic. But being able to back it up with those two certifications at that moment was the deal for me. So basically, I would say not being exposed to the high-tech technology, but having the basic tech at that point in time, and coupled with the fact that I had people, I had mentors. That was one of the things that made me to say, okay, I'm going to pursue this on a long term.
Mm. Now, you give a very important message here that first of all, the right mentors, and the
Yeah,
second one is moving out of your comfort zone, and the
yeah,
third one, don't go for advanced, go start from the basics, start from make the
exactly.
fundamental and your foundation very strong.
Yes, yes.
Because
So, and
most
I was able to build on it over time.
Yeah, because most of the youngsters are now actually moving into the very high advanced programs, but the if you ask the basic things, they are missing big time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, maybe I'm a traditional person. Maybe I'm not a Gen Z, so that could be another factor.
But yeah, it's a change of, with the coming of a lot of automation and AI, where everything is happening on the click of the button. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nobody
the
has time to start learning the basics anymore.
True, true. Now, because networking engineers and the networking life is very complicated. It's a 24 cross 7 because you have to maintain that connectivity. Now, being
Mhm.
a female in this highly dynamic environment, which talk about a strict SLAs, how you make yourself comfortable into that part?
Huh. That's a packed question, right? I think being a woman, right, in that field, I'm not going to say it is easy
Mm,
because I have to work 10 times the way my counterpart works just to amplify my voice. And there are times whereby like you said, there are strict deadlines, there are strict SLAs, and you need to meet them. You really do not want to mess up, right? Because you have users that are depending on that. You have users that are depending on that SLA. So I wouldn't call, well, there are challenges, right? I'll put them as challenges, but I feel those things are inevitable. It's not the end of
mm,
the world, to be honest. Yes, there are times I didn't meet deadline. I've not always met deadlines. There are times that it feels good when you meet deadline, even before deadline. You get to like, oh, I was able to achieve this before this, that. But there are moments whereby these things are just out of your control. But what
mm,
is important is, I think what I do in those cases is I'm being able to identify what the blockers will be before we even get to that stage. Like, I'm able to know that if I do X, Y, and Z, like 3 days ahead of the scheduled time, that will give
mm,
me 3 days ahead to be able to know what the blocker will be. So you
mm,
might want to start a configuration, or you might want to start a retrofitting project or a migration, and you're like, oh, I need to move this traffic from point A to another point B in order to be able to not lose half of your traffic, right? And serve your customer, like your redundancy. And during that part, you now realize that even your redundancy point, something is off about
mm.
it. But if I had waited like the exact time to do that migration, Well, that means we have lost a lot of time figuring out all of those things. So I like to do like a dry run in order to know what the blockers will be. So when I carry out my dry run, I'm like, oh, this is an impending issue. This is going to create a major issue during this deployment. Let's figure it out. And then after the simulation, we've resolved what the blocker is, or we've unblocked what the possible blocker is. It makes me feel confident that by the time we want to start the actual stuff, I can do it without issues, and that makes me go faster. But after doing all of that, doing the simulation, doing the dry run, and still resolving all the pending issues or all the lingering issues that could have delayed it, and you carried out the actual project, and there are some things that you cannot control.
Mm.
Maybe you realize there's a regulator, there's something that will just come and block you. I think I can give an example. We were supposed to, I think back then in Nigeria, we were supposed to run pilots. What was it again? 60 gigahertz. Yeah, we wanted to pilot 60 gigahertz in Nigeria, and that was the very first time anyone will be piloting 60 gigahertz in the entire Africa, not just at Nigeria, entire Africa using 60 gigahertz. And we had everything set up. Then we got hit by regulator that, oh, you don't have license to even carry a pilot on this. And that took us like 3 months back.
Oh.
I now had to, my company back then was like, oh, Abiola, this is your project. You need to figure it out. We had a timeline to deliver in 3 months. But now with the regulator coming saying you don't have the license to operate on 60 gigahertz spectrum, we need to go through the paperwork. I need to go through the application. I have never done it before. I've never
Mm.
interacted with a regulator before. We call them NCC in Nigeria. I've never interacted with them, but that is me moving out of my comfort zone because I
Mm.
know that this is inevitable. We can't meet that deadline. I told the executive, I told my CTO back then that, oh, without this license, we can't achieve this thing and we can't meet this deadline because this is completely out of my control. And I've explained, I document all my processes, all the things we're supposed to do. We never saw that coming. I never knew that we needed that license. We thought it's an open spectrum that anybody can just pilot on. But then again, because it's a new technology in Nigeria that would help us to reduce interference and all that. So we're like, okay, let's go about it. And we're like, okay, go for it. We are going to give you this time. And it became an headache. I had to flew all the way to Abuja, which is the capital of Nigeria back then. And I started the process. It was back and forth. But then again, the approval came instantly. And my CEO back then was like, how did you do it? I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know. But the fact that we already experimented, we've done our own demo, we've done our own dry run, we had our data, we had our backup, we're able to present what this will be and what we are going to be achieving with this by reducing the interference, rain, and all of those things, having those line of sight issues with this 60 gigahertz, which covers a very short distance. But then again, you are guaranteed 1 gigabit internet speed. So at that point, the NCC were really impressed, and they gave us that approval to pilot, and we're able to roll out, and we actually was able to meet that particular event where we wanted to demo it. So
Mm.
so being able to work under pressure, SLA, high SLA, I would say is about preparing ahead, having your dry runs. Dry runs are really, really, really important. Having your dry runs before the actual project or before the actual deployment or whatever it is, simulate them, give yourself like 1 week, have all those things in place, list out all the things that you need that is required to achieve those things. It is okay to miss one or two things, and that is why you also need to always inform your superiors, always inform your supervisors, whoever you are reporting to, your line managers. Let them be aware of each step of your project. Yeah, I know that autonomy is important, like you own it, but then again, you report to some people. But doing your own due diligence by doing your dry run, listing all those things, resolving those lingering issues that would block that deployment ahead of time would help you to meet SLAs. But I'm not going to lie to you that there are times that even after doing all of those things, some
Yeah.
things will just come out of the blues. But it is what it is. You just have to
Mm.
suck it up and like still go hard. Because like you go hard, we don't go home. You have to go hard on it and get it done. So So I think that also boils down to me being a woman, and because I'm like, maybe my counterpart might not have gone through all of those things. They might like, oh, it's nothing. But me, I feel like there's another layer of pressure, another layer of expectation. Being a woman in this male-dominated field, you just have to get it right. And that pressure is like, okay, I need to get it right. It's a motivator for me. I don't see it as a pressure anymore at this point in my life. I don't see it as a pressure anymore. I don't see it as challenges anymore, because what feels like the biggest challenge today, like getting that approval, getting that license approval, was the biggest challenge, I would have said. But right now, thinking about it is like a stepping stone to other things. A stepping stone to now your Nigeria has 60 gigahertz deployment. And I would probably say I was the first woman in Nigeria that deployed 60 gigahertz in Nigeria and Africa, courtesy of Cambion Network. So now it's a stepping stone for me. I'm where I am right now. And yeah, I'm thankful. I think I can keep going on and going on. But then again, I have it's been a journey, right? And basically, you just have to work harder to amplify your voice. You just have to be confident in what you do, because you can't go back. You just need to keep going forward. Yeah.
First of all, thank you for bringing all these points, because it's this talks is not about what you achieve. It's about
Yeah.
what you did to get to that stage, right?
Yeah,
And it
exactly.
motivates and inspires many of the teenagers, many of the professionals, many of the seniors who understand, because it's a reflection of their own stories. So thank you
Yeah.
for bringing that. Now, my first point here is, we talk about a trial, right? I'm pretty much sure the trial is really good, and it has shown it's a passing colors. Now,
Yeah.
how it impacted that 60 gigahertz which you are referring to, how it is impacting the life of Nigerians at that moment?
Well, I would say that having been able to achieve that, we were able to serve about 5 million users.
5 billion.
5 million users. I tell
5
you,
million.
yes, we're able to serve 5 million users. I think that was around 2022, 2021, late 20, entering 2022. We were able to
Mm,
deploy it and we're able to serve 5 million users. The company was able to like get a lot of revenue from that deployment at that point in time, because a lot of people started saying, oh, the internet connectivity is better. We're able to bridge the gap of internet connectivity issues in Nigeria. A lot of startups, a lot of small business owners started signing up to that particular network. And then because we already have a new technology in place, even though it
mm,
was a pilot at that point in time, because even at that point in time, we're like, you don't need to pay. Just use this. And we want to get your feedback. And
yeah.
that feedback for 3 consecutive months was great. They're like, oh, when it's rain, it doesn't stops. It doesn't break. I don't have in that, like, I'm not sending emails. There was reduce in churn for the company. There was high increase in customers retention. There was high profits, right, for the company
Mm,
itself. And we have over 5 million users that came on board because of that technology implementation alone. I'm not
mm,
going to say the maintenance was not up, because it was, for me and my team at that point in time, it was a learning curve for us. It was a new technology. We just wanted to solve an issue of bad internet service when it rains. We just wanted to solve an issue of no internet service when it's raining. And West Africa is a tropical environment whereby it rains heavily. And when it rains, if you are not using a fiber deployment, you should know that you are not going to have internet access, right? But
yeah.
with that, we're able to solve that problem. You know the joy of solving one vivid problem in the entire country, and you're the first person to implement it. That was it for me. That was just what I wanted. Like that joy and being able to see the growth, being able to see how impactful that has been, seeing business owner coming on board, seeing people signing up, seeing people saying, oh, when it rains, it doesn't, and I can sleep at night that, oh, it's raining. I don't have to start figuring out or changing frequencies on my access point
Mm,
on the base stations and all of those things. I don't have to do all of those things anymore, because I'm like, oh, I'm at peace. I can focus on other things. I can start researching on other things to make the network better. So the impact was being able to get like 5 million users on board, being able to retain or customers, even the customer service support guys, they were happy, right? Even the impact was the us as the engineers, us that are providing that service. We had peace of mind to focus on other things. So that I would say that was the impact for me.
I can feel the sense of fulfillment because at the end of the day, you are actually using the technology to impact and improve the life of a local person who don't have to leave his home or her home to
I
get.
wouldn't have said it better. Yes, that was spot on. Yes, yes.
So thank you. So basically, the finance service, once you have a connectivity in place, the social life, the GDPs, the security, and the sense of feeling of togetherness is something
Yeah.
which you have achieved. So
Yes,
thank you,
yes.
Abiola, for
Um,
making that project a success.
thank you, thank you. It's just one of the ones I can just remember off my head because I can keep going and going. But yeah, thank you so much.
We really want to understand because most of the people, what we have seen, and you are also experiencing, the people who are in their journey of, let's say, networking, where they have to always on their toes to make the network live. And it's a very tricky job, right? It's not a very easy job. No holidays, no functions, no festival, no family life. And still they are, always happy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think what makes us happy is knowing that it works. It's working, right? Because we know that, oh, that no holiday, no. And then being a mom was really also tough on me. But at that time I had a supporting partner and I had support system whereby when I'm running late at work or I have a deployment that is taking me out of the state, oh, my husband was there to sort things out for me, take care of our child. My mom would come around, my sisters. I have support system that were filling that gap for me, for my son. And anytime I am free or I am less busy or I took off or PTO, I'm always like, hey guys, I'm going to be on PTO and I'm going to turn off my phone for this number of days. Please do not call me, do not try to reach me. But before I do that, I would have put a lot of stuff in place, put my notifications, like write down my handover in case if anything, I called it my cheat code. Like the first thing I check, I like transferring knowledge, no
Mm.
matter what I understand, like no matter how little it is, I like to transfer that knowledge. And I think my team back then and my current team knows that it makes me happy when I transfer that knowledge because it makes my life easy. I can go on PTO, I can do other things, I can unblock you people, and that's it. So in those times when things are working, it makes me happy and I can focus on my family. It's not always easy, it is tricky, but then again, having support system makes it easier for us as a woman in tech, a woman in network engineering. I know it's the same thing with my counterparts too. It's just that, oh, because they are male, they could have other support system as well. But at times I ask them, how do you guys do it? We will all be on site till 9 p.m. We will all be on site till 10 p.m. We will all be at work trying to figure out, oh, we'll be at work 12 midnight carrying out carrying out a migration. I'm like, how
Mm.
do you guys do it? How is your spouse coping? And I'm like, well, they already accept them for who they are. So the same thing applies to me too. And people are like, how do you do it? I'm like, well, they know me before they marry me. that kind of thing. But yeah, it's a struggle, but having that support system is really important. Having a support system that understands your kind of work and also see the value of your kind of work and see the impact your work is doing to other people, and they can also testify to that impact too. I remember then my mom, when she was like, oh, Abiola, I need internet service in my house, this and that. I'm like, oh, sure. And I'm like, okay, we could use my mom as a pilot site to deploy. I think it was a new device we are trying to test. And I'm like, yeah, we could use my mom's property. And then we used it. And she was like, oh, this is what you do. I saw your guys, they came, it was in another state. She lives in another state. I'm in the headquarters. And she was like, your guys came. So this is what you're always telling me on the phone. So she was able to understand the work. She was able to understand why I'm always busy. Why she's like, oh, she's always coming to Lagos to help out. She's always supporting my husband and I with our kid because she saw those guys doing those things. And she saw me on the call. They were like, oh, Abella, how do we get this done? This is this. So having that support system that understands the value of your work and they can testify to it makes it easy and makes you also have that fulfilling mindset that, oh, whatever I'm doing, I need to figure it out because I know this is also impacting my family. And that is, I think that is that for me.
And that's what how you are actually giving back to the community.
Yes, 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 yes.
Hmm. Right. I know Abiola is a a very short duration because you have a hard
I
stop.
know.
But I just want to make a one question. Basically, we
Okay.
want to take a one advice from you, the especially for female engineers who want to enter into this networking field, but they are not able to get the courage because of all these timelines and other things. What is the one message you want to give it to them?
Oh, okay. To anyone, not just female, to anyone listening, because we all have that we all want to get that clarity. We all want to get started. To anyone listening, I would say that keep evolving no matter the space, either networking, programming, AI, automation, no matter the space, just keep evolving because the journey is not going to be linear. Trust me, there's going to be a lot of roller coaster rides and all that. But persevere. Perseverance is really important. Perseverance, keep evolving. So excuse me. And then don't be in your comfort zone.
Mhm.
Look for mentors, people that mentor you, and don't see challenges as challenges, see challenges as motivators. So because when you get to those stumbling blocks moments, those are challenges, let it motivate you and then keep evolving. Know that they said 12 times never last, but 12 people last. That is it. That is my mentor. 12 times never last. 12 moments never last. 12 projects never last, but 12 people last. 12, you staying on your grind, it's what is important. Always involving, pushing yourself outside that comfort zone. But if you, the purpose is once you have that, your path, you will find your path once you know that. And you are not tired of trying to explore other things and getting to get your hands and getting and you're not tired of being hands-on, I'm
Mhm.
sure you're going to get a purpose. And once you get a purpose, you get your part. And I think that's it for me. Yeah.
And thank you for bringing all these points, Abiola. And I'm
Thank
pretty much
you.
sure we will be continuing our podcast for the next session as well because there are so many questions which has been
I
we want to
know.
take your guidance. But yes, thank you so much for taking out your time. And
Thank you so much, Deepak, for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you. Thanks, sir. Bye.
All right. Bye.